Okay, we're going to continue on in the Apocrypha today. This is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, verse 27. For what the fire could not destroy melted away when it was simply warmed by a fleeting sunbeam, so that it might be known that we must rise before all the sun to give you thanks, and appeal to you at the rising of the light. For the unthankful man's hope will melt like the wintry hoarfrost, and run off like useless water. For your judgments are great and hard to set forth. Therefore uninstructed souls went astray. For when lawless men thought they were opposing or oppressing a holy nation, they lay shut up under their roofs, exiled from the eternal providence, prisoners of darkness and captives of the long night. For when they thought they were hidden in their secret sins by a dark veil of forgetfulness, they were scattered, terribly frightened, and appalled by specters. For even the inner chamber that held them did not protect them from fear, but appalling sounds rung around them, and somber ghosts appeared with gloomy faces, and no fire was strong enough to succeed in giving them light, nor could the bright flames of the stars undertake to illumine the hateful night. Only there shone on them a fearful flame of itself. And though dreadfully frightened at the sight, when it could not be seen, they thought the things that they beheld still worse. And the delusions of magic art were prostrate, and their boasted wisdom suffered a contemptuous rebuke. For those who claim to drive away fears and troubles from sick souls were sick themselves with ridiculous fear. For if nothing alarming frightened them, you scared by the creeping of vermin and the hissing of reptiles. They died of fright, refusing to look even upon the air, which could not be escaped on any side. For wickedness is a cowardly thing, condemned by a witness of its own, and being distressed by conscience, has always exaggerated hardships. For fear is nothing but the giving up of the reinforcements that come from reason. And as the expectations of them from within is deficient, it reckons its ignorance worse than the cause of the torment. But they, all through the night, which was really powerless, and came upon them from the recesses of a powerless Hades, sleeping the same sleep, were now driven by monstrous phantoms, and now paralyzed by their soul's surrender. For they were drenched in sudden, unlooked for fear. Then whoever was there fell down, and so was shut up and guarded in a prison not made of iron. For whether a man was a farmer or a shepherd or a laborer whose work was in a wilderness, he was overtaken and suffered the unavoidable fate. For they were all bound within one chain of darkness, whether there was a whistling wind or melodious sounds of birds in spreading branches, or the regular noise of rushing water, or a harsh crashing of rocks thrown down, or the unseen running of bounding animals, or the sound of the most savage wild beast roaring, or an echo thrown back from a hollow in the mountains. It paralyzed them with terror, for the whole world was bathed in bright light and occupied in unhindered work. Only over them was spread a heavy night, a picture of the darkness that was to receive them. But heavier than the darkness were they to do themselves. But your holy ones enjoyed a very great light. And the others, hearing their voices, but not seeing their forms, thought them happy because they had not suffered. But they were thankful because the others, though they had before been wrong, did not hurt them, and prayed to be separated from them. Therefore you provided a blazing pillar as a guide on their unknown journey, and a harmful sun for their honorable exile. For they deserve to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept your Son shut up, through whom the perishable light of the law was to be given to the world, when they plotted to kill the babies of the holy ones. Through one child had been exposed and saved. To rebuke them, you took from them a multitude of their children, and destroyed them altogether in a mighty flood. That night was made known to our forefathers beforehand, so that they should know certainly what oaths they had believed and rejoice. The preservation of the upright and the destruction of their enemies were expected by your people. For in punishing their adversaries, you called us to you and glorified us. For in secret the holy children of good men offered the sacrifice, and with one accord agreed to the divine law, that they should share alike the same blessings and dangers. And were already beginning to sing the praises of their forefathers, when there echoed back the discordant shout of their enemies, and the piteous sound of lamentation for children spread abroad. But slave was punished with master with the same penalty, and the commoner suffered the same as the king, and all of them together under one form of death had countless corpses. For those who were alive were not even enough to bury them. For in one instant their most valued children were destroyed. For though they disbelieved everything because of their enchantments, when the firstborn were destroyed, they acknowledged that the people was God's Son. And when gentle silence enveloped everything, and night was midway of her swift course, your all-powerful word leaped from heaven, from the royal throne, a stern warrior, into the midst of the doomed land, carrying for a sharp sword your undisguised command, and stood still and filled all things with death, and touched heaven, but walked upon the earth. Then suddenly, apparitions and dreadful dreams startle them, and unlooked for fears assail them. And one thrown here half dead, another there, showed why they were dying. For the dreams that had alarmed them warned them of it, so that they should not perish without knowing why they suffered. But the experience of death afflicted the upright also, and a multitude were destroyed